And we are live. Welcome to this week's edition of the Bullpen Cart, presented by ThunderblogSports.com. Recording this Tuesday afternoon on his lunch break. Joining me is Greg, the Prophet Piatelli. How are you, my man?
Hello, world.
Thank you, Tiger. Yeah.
Test number one, and Jordy, you've already passed.
Yeah. Oh, you don't think I would know that? But yeah, so we've been trying to do this for a couple days, so we finally found some time, aka squeezing it in on Greg's lunch break before the All-Star break. But we're finally getting to kind of a last week recap, but more first half awards. And we're in the middle of the All-Star break. Home Run Derby was last night. A lot of fun, I thought. Greg, do you have any thoughts on it?
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, noticed that there was not a lot of diversity up there, swinging for the fences, if you will.
Yeah. Well, one AL guy, and he was
Yes.
quickly dispatched.
Yes.
Yeah, Bregman.
Yes. I mean, to be fair, I was rooting for him from the jump.
Yeah.
And he really disappointed, so.
Yeah, I mean, he got close. He had those two that were right there. They're like a foot away from tying it or winning.
The only reason why I was rooting for him was because, as you mentioned, the only American League guy, and how do you not stick with your?
Yeah, you got to stick with your league.
So
yeah, I mean, well, we can get into the game later. Do you remember last year he got all pissed off? Somebody said like, "Oh, you're a terrible third baseman. We should trade you." Yada yada yada. And he's like, "Fuck you, man." And he went on to like go on a tear. He ends up being the hero in the World Series. Now he's in the fucking home run derby, the only AL guy.
Yeah, so do you think that they just couldn't find people to do it? I think like,
well, didn't a bunch of people say no? Like they said that Judge and Stanton both turned it down. So like Mookie Betts was like, "No, I'm not a home run hitter. It just goes off the bat when I hit it," which is an all-time lineup.
Turned it down because a couple years ago when he was with the Tigers, he was leading the American League in home runs, and they did not ask him to participate in the home run derby. So he's like, "I'm never going to do it now."
Yeah.
So
it's kind of weird how they pick it. I mean, I was happy Reese got in, but I was a little surprised when he got announced just because he's not on the team. But
yeah,
he did well.
Talk about someone like literally setting the bar high, too high.
Yeah. I mean, both of his were fun to watch. I wrote a good blog that literally just went up talking about the end of it and how happy I was with Reese, but also the Harper's dad throwing early shit. And it was just fun. Like, that doesn't matter. It's a fucking exhibition. Just a ton of fun to watch.
Yeah, and not for nothing, but every pitch.
Yeah, everyone was
early.
doing it. Yeah,
every pitch.
I think the umpire just like guessed when he thought it went out and just said go. Like, it's more fun with more home runs. We're not here to watch the refs get pissed off and throw flags and stuff. We're here to watch them hit home runs.
Yeah, and I mean, at the end of the day, I don't understand why people are so upset. It really, literally means absolutely nothing.
Yeah, it's either Cubs fans that wanted their guy to win, or people that don't like fun.
What do you think about the different bats that people are using?
I thought those were pretty awesome. I mean, they obviously took the Nationals Park and Nation's Capital theme in America to the next level. I thought it would have been kind of cool. I know with the season starting earlier, they could have possibly done it, but I guess having actual games on the 4th of July matters. But if you had it on, over 4th of July with it being a Wednesday, that would have been kind of cool. Then it would have really gone to another level.
Well, that was the thing too, because the 4th of July, that was technically the 82, right? That was the middle.
Yeah, it was. It was the middle of the season. Yeah, it's weird because they started it in March, so like it's later than it has been in a while. But nonetheless,
silly they did this. Silly they did this late. Jordy,
jump right into
it. You mentioned him earlier. My American League / all of Major League Baseball MVP for the first half.
Oh man, spoiling the pitcher award.
Mookie Betts.
Oh yeah, gotta be him. I had a couple that I wanted to just because it's pretty obvious that it's Mookie. But I mean, this is just my American League. 359, 23 home runs, 51 RBIs, 18 stolen bases, 79 runs. He's batting first in the lineup, sort of
a nod to how the Astros do it, putting their best hitter first, right, with
Yeah.
Altuve, and something Alex Cora brought over. Smart move, smart baseball.
Well,
The days of having a
it's why you can't knock him for having lower RBIs. He bats first, and he still has 23 dingers.
right, exactly, and like not for nothing, but the days of Brett Gardner and Johnny Damon hitting leadoff and getting on with hitting 200 and getting on every so often are over. You have to put your best guy who has some speed at hitting first. That's just the way it has to go.
Well, and it helps when you have 25 doubles and a couple triples. So,
yeah, I mean, it helps when you're Mookie Betts and you're the best player on the planet right now.
Yeah, the ball just goes off the bat when he hits it.
Yeah, and when he got
what an all-time line.
And when he got I should say gypped of the MVP a couple years ago. Jordy, quick trivia question about Mookie Betts. Do you know his real name?
Mookston.
Marcus Lynn.
Wow. Did not know that.
Marcus Lynn Betts, born in 1992.
Yeah, from Nashville.
He is 25 years old. Unbelievable. Jordy, do you have anyone in the American League?
Yeah, the only other guy, or there's a couple that you could mention. The one I really wanted to, though, is a personal favorite of mine. Plays third base for the Cleveland Indians. That's Jose Ramirez. It's got 29 homers, 70 ribbies, and really just continuing that tear he was on last year. He's batting .302, slugging percentage at .628, OPS over 1,000. His WAR is technically higher than Mookie's at 6.6 versus Mookie's 6.3. But again, we just talked about where they bat. Jose bats third, Mookie bats 3. So, a little bit different there. I'm not sure if WAR totally calculates where you bat in the lineup with it, but both guys are up there with, I would say Mookie's a number of steps ahead. I would say Jose is probably at least a step ahead of a couple other guys that would be up there, maybe a half step, but he's definitely on a nice tear and should continue that as the Indians offense continues to rise.
Yeah, no, and that was great second choice, and he definitely is a guy that's impressed this year and leading a Cleveland team that strongly needs an offensive superstar.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I almost picked JD Martinez because the guy is 80 RBI, and I was going to play over/under with you later with how many does he finish with. And I think he's one of the guys. Mike Trout might be the other. That's a half step, maybe at most a full step behind Jose Ramirez, but I still think are a couple steps behind Mookie for the MVP race right now.
Yeah, I mean, quite frankly, Mike Trout just his average and his on base percentage is not there anywhere near where the other three are. So he's
just up there because he's doing the LeBron. He's literally carrying this team right now.
Yes and no. I mean, he should not be in the conversation. It really should be Mookie, JD, and.
No, I totally agree. You have to acknowledge. You have to acknowledge where that offense is. I mean, 79 or 71 runs. I'm looking at Mookie 79. That's pretty good. He scores when he gets on, so you got to acknowledge that. 25 homers.
No, I'm just giving you a hard time.
Yeah. Let's jump over the.
No, listen. Yeah.
You want to jump over to NL, or do you have one other guy?
Nope. Let's do it.
All right, NL. You want me to start?
Jordy, I don't think we're gonna have the same people, so please start.
I have Nolan Arenado of the Colorado Rockies. Another third baseman, one of my guys. Ooh, future Red Sox. Hot take. Is he a free agent next year?
The word is that they're going to trade for him at the deadline. That's the big thing going around right now.
Ooh, that'd be awesome. He is a fun player to watch, and it's nice that he finally got the start. I think he might have last year, but he got it this year where Chris Bryant did not get that Cubs vote to get onto the starting lineup, and the guy bats .312, 23 homers, 68 ribbies. I mean, just has always been first class in terms of third baseman in Major League Baseball and really in the National League. And, it's nice to see that he's starting and I, fully acknowledge where he is. You might have the other guy that I was considering, so I'm going to jump it over to you for who you have.
Yeah, great transition there with the Cubs. Javier Baez, the guy who was actually carrying the team for the Cubs, carrying the offense. You're talking about a guy who's 72 RBIs, 18 stolen bases. 61 runs. So just a guy that can do it all offensively, speed, power, big spots he hits, and a guy that's only going to get better. I mean, it's amazing how much young talent. I mean, I feel like we talked
How many
about it
times
with
has he stolen home this year? Twice.
twice. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I feel like we've talked about it a couple times, but the young talent in Major League Baseball and in the NHL is ridiculous, off the charts. So
Oh, a
it's
little hockey
exciting.
reference too. All right.
Always,
Yeah.
always, it's
Hey, did you
exciting.
see your boy Pedro acknowledged and said it was awesome to see all the young guys? He's the
Pedro.
first of the vets to finally acknowledge it. No old man yelling at cloud for him.
I mean, Pedro's always been class act. Always knew who the good players were. And you're talking about Pedro Martinez, probably the greatest pitcher of all time, who put up the unbelievable numbers he did in an era where people were juicing everything and hitting the ball everywhere, and he still had an ERA below 3, and still was striking out a ton of guys. And
And it wouldn't be the All-Star game without acknowledging him at Fenway.
Yeah.
19 years ago, it was 99, right?
99, the immaculate inning.
Oh, yeah,
In the All-Star game.
fun.
No, great. Nolan Arenado, great choice. Jordy, that was my first. Javi Baez, my second. So huge there. Jordy.
I'd throw, just because we did it with the AL, I'd throw Freddie Freeman in probably as my third.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue he's the most valuable person for his specific team.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, not for nothing, Jordy. There was a question submitted to this pod, I believe, a couple weeks ago. Looking back, who won the offseason, the Yankees or Red Sox? And JD Martinez versus Giancarlo Stanton. I would 100% say JD Martinez and the Red Sox. But
a million percent, I would agree with you there.
Whoever was working the pod that day
that was Jared. It's Jard.
You and Jared did not pick JD, but joke's on you, JD.
You want to play over under now? What do you think he ends? Should we set a line?
Sure.
Because we don't have Giancarlo home run watch this year.
No, can't have that. I mean, technically, we have a JD. We have a JD home run watch.
We could, yeah.
His pace right now, man.
What would it be, like 59, 58?
I think his pace is 59, if not 60. Because he hit like 3. Yeah. He's on pace. Jordy, remember there was a team last year who didn't hit a single grand slam?
Was it the Red Sox?
Yeah, they've hit like 9 already this year, or something crazy like that.
Well, it's funny you mention that because DraftKings, if you have they have a sports app that you can like check scores and everything.
No freelands.
DraftKings Live, it's called, and it'll send Grand Slam updates because it always has to keep you updated with like all the stats and everything because it's related to a daily fantasy site. And the Grand Slam alerts, every time I look, it's either Xander Bogaerts or JD Martinez or Mookie or whomever. It always seems to be a Red Sox or Scooter Gennett, who could be another one to throw up there. He has a couple great salamis this year, but yeah, it's funny that they make up for it. Water always finds its level.
Nice, well played. Yeah, no, and I think it's been certainly a fun year, an exciting year. I think it's a clear, obvious race between the top 3 teams in the American League. And the National League is so wide open that there's rumors circulating right now on the very interwebs and Twitter sphere that the deal is in place for Manny Machado and that a National League team has been selected. They have not said which National League team, but there's 3 frontrunners, Dodgers, Brewers, and your Philadelphia Phillies. So keep an eye out, Jordy. By the time this pod comes out, it might have been official.
Well, it's supposed to come out Wednesday morning. I'm going to try to drop this Tuesday night for everybody's car ride home. So nice. Keep an eye out, and that's a good way for me to at least point out. Matt DiStefano and I are going to be doing a Phillies midseason special, just like we did at the 1 quarter mark. We're going to be recording that Wednesday night, so look out for that Thursday morning in your podcast feeds. So make sure you subscribe. But yeah, I agree with you. It's definitely Yankees, Red Sox, Astros they're probably locks at this point to make the playoffs, and your Boston Red Sox are starting to get a couple legs up on the Yanks.
Yeah, I mean, the Red Sox certainly came into the All-Star break super hot. Unbelievable tear and run. Yeah, I mean, even further back than that, unbelievable tear and run. And, Yankees kind of sputtered in, and the Yankees still have a lot of games that they haven't played that the Red Sox have. So hopefully the Red Sox can continue to take advantage of that and continue to build a little cushion. I think the Yankees, if we're being honest, the Yankees, yes, their offense, go into a couple lulls here and there, is the big thing that is going to drop off here in the second half.
You think so? Their offense drops off?
No, they're pitching.
They're pitching. Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting point, and we can talk about pitching in a second. We should acknowledge, too, the Indians have a 7.5 game lead in the Central, so I think they're close to a lock. They kind of cold coming into it, and the Twins were particularly hot. But, I mean, we saw this a little bit last year, and then the Indians went on their 20-plus game win streak. I forget the exact number. But their offense became white hot in August, and we could definitely see that happen again. So I think they're pretty safe to say that they're in the playoffs as well. The second wild card race is going to be fun to watch, though.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's easily the Yankees and Red Sox, obviously, and then from there, whatever team doesn't win the East is winning that spot, and then from there, like you said, it's a toss-up.
Yeah, I mean, right now it would be the Mariners going to Yankee Stadium, but the A's aren't going away, and they could be a team that drops off. The Angels could, maybe diffuse the dumpster fire and get back into this race. The Twins would need a lot of help. I mean, the Rays are technically more in the wild card race than the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim of California of North America. I fucked up the thing. But the Tampa Bay Rays are right there. So, I mean, we have a lot of teams kind of in the mix, but if it ends up being, if the Mariners start running away with it, it could be a very National League heavy pennant race in terms of what we're watching down the stretch. And everybody else is just trying not to get hurt and trying not to get too rusty.
Yeah, I mean, Oakland's still hanging around too, and that's a team that scares me a lot because they virtually swept. I mean, the Red Sox won, I think, 2 out of 6 or 1 out of 6, but they virtually swept the Red Sox during the regular season, and they're not playing them again, so they scare me for sure. But, Judy, let's head over to the National League, or let's head to pitching. National League pitchers, please say your boy. Pitcher so far at the halfway point.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take Nola just because I love the guy, and he had a little bit of a struggle in his last start before the All-Star break, but when he is on, Greg, he is so much fun to watch. The guy's dealing left and right. And I think the crazy thing to point out is that even at times where Gabe Kapler's pulled him early because of pitch counts and stuff like that, he's still up there in terms of total innings pitched he's tied with Chris Sale. He has more than the Yankees' Luis Severino. It's more than Garrett Cole, the Astros. Really the big names that have more than him are Verlander, Bauer, and Scherzer. So, I mean, the guy's still eating up innings. He's striking out a number of guys. And his whip is below 1. So, I mean, he's definitely been proving himself as the Phillies ace. He's 12-3. First Phillies pitcher to win 12 games before the All-Star break since 1993 when they went to the World Series. Not a big deal. But, I think the fact that he wasn't included before they announced the starters, ESPN had a couple different National League pitchers, and he's not thrown on there, is ridiculous, especially when he's the only Phillies pitcher. It's great. Rhys Hoskins had such a good night last night, but he's not on the All-Star team, and we'll see. I mean, it's a weird vibe when your pitcher is the only player selected, because he might come in a blink and you miss it moment. He might come in for just a single inning, or even if your boy Dave Roberts is getting a little more, matching it up. I wouldn't think he'd do that with a starter, of bring him in for just one batter or one righty in like the 5th inning. But who knows? We'll see we'll see if the American League comes out.
When did he pitch?
He pitched Saturday, so he's eligible to pitch. So he'll probably pitch just 1 inning.
Because there's a bunch of pitchers who pitch Sunday who are just not, but top guys, I'm saying. But yeah, I mean, that's the craziest part about the Phillies so far, in my opinion, is that like they're leading the American League East ahead of the Nationals, ahead of
National League East.
Sorry, National League East, ahead of the Mets, ahead of the Braves, leading a division that everyone thought they would finish either last or second to last in, and quite frankly, no one's talking about them, and that's I mean, give all the credit in the world to Gabe the Babe. And if they add Machado right now, I mean, granted, our boy would have to play a different position, but my boy at least, not your boy. But
Kingery? Scott Kingery?
Yeah.
No, it'll be interesting to see how that. Scott Kingery plays shortstop for the Phillies.
Oh, I was thinking third, but
yeah, I mean that'd be Michael Franco, and a couple different rumored players in there. I've seen that Franco could be included, so he could go over there or move Kingery to third because he's played third a couple times.
As long as the Phillies don't get rid of Sir Anthony, I think we're good. But
they're not. Sir Anthony's off limits. Any pitching guys that I've seen thrown out there are all, and this is all on Twitter, so don't think I have some sort of unknown sources. But I've seen just minor league guys. Adonis Medina is the big one that seems like if the Phillies are getting Machado, he's in that deal. Maybe a couple other prospects. I've seen Franco Crawford, JP Crawford, the former top prospect for the Phillies, who's never really performed well in the majors. Plus Adonis is one that I saw. It was one that was falsely reported by a fake Phillies account. Yeah. But that could be. But I've seen their names thrown out in a couple different ones on Twitter. You got to watch out with all those rumors. But we'll see if they land him. That would be huge. And I think you're right. It would definitely bring the Phillies into the forefront of a lot of conversations. It's frustrating as a Phillies fan to see that. A lot of people on Phillies Twitter last night were upset that Bryce Harper kept getting interviewed and Rhys Hoskins didn't get interviewed once. Bryce Harper got interviewed after every single round. They brought in different guys that were competing to talk to the guys in the on the booth on the sidelines, Carl Ravitch and Mark Teixeira, and Rhys Hoskins was one of, I think him and Max Muncy were the only two that didn't really get any sort of love, and they were the two semifinalists. So a little frustrating there, but we'll see how they go. I have enough. There's still a lot of kinks the Phillies have to work out. They're pretty bad defensively.
Yeah, I mean,
pitching I think makes up for it.
Sorry, not to come back to it, but I think you're misunderstanding ESPN and their role here in the home run derby. Their role is not to interview Max Muncy, who no one's ever heard of, and Rhys Hoskins, who maybe the Northeast has heard of, but no one else outside of that has heard of. Their goal, their
Everybody
job.
Heard of him last year. Everybody remembers him.
Their job, if their job is to interview Bryce Harper, the big names, to promote the league, promote the future of it, and yes, Rhys is a part of the future of the league, but
he has a dog named Rookie. This is a baseball guy. Okay. Promote the shit out of him.
Bryce Harper literally is about to sign the largest contract in Major League Baseball history, if not American sports history. So obviously they're going to promote this guy.
All right. I agree with that.
Did you notice? Did you see Mike Trout once last night? No.
They showed, I think, they either showed his tweets or
Did you see Mookie Betts last night? Yes.
They're
promoting this All-Stars future studs of the league. Anyway, Jordy.
Shade there. Shade there.
My pitcher for the National League is Max Scherzer, obviously. Yeah. 12 wins, 182 Ks, 2.29 ERA. Nothing that can be said outside of the fact the Red Sox hit him well, so I'm not worried about him come playoff time. But
they got to him early. I was at that game. It was fun.
Yeah, a lot of fun to watch, and I was looking out for you on the TV, television. But yeah,
you weren't finding me. I was deep up in the the nosebleeds. $14 I got those seats for.
That's awesome. Yeah. But no, they definitely the two-eyed fellow per usual having an unbelievable season. My American League pitcher of the. Do
you want to throw? Well, before you get to your guy, do you want to throw in a third finalist for NL Cy Young of the half season?
Are we doing bullpen guys?
Well, we'll get to bullpen guys, but for starters,
no, I don't. Who do you have?
I would throw your guy John Lester on there, maybe formerly your guy, but he's had a pretty good year. I mean, the Cubs pitching had been pretty bad to start, and Lester's definitely been up there. Decent ERA on the what's it called, the All-Star team, 12-2. Just the rest of his stats aren't that impressive comparatively. 2.58 ERA, only 88 strikeouts, but he's never really been a big strikeout guy, right?
Yeah, and it helps when you're on a team that has a +114 run differential. So
yeah, so
Yeah,
But
it is
you'd probably throw him up. Maybe Mike Fulton-Evans from the Braves because he's been pretty good, but he kind of slid a little bit coming into the All-Star break. So just a couple other guys to throw out there instead of the
Jordy,
obvious few.
For the American League Cy Young, in my opinion, and you're not
Pretty
allowed
easy.
to say anyway. You're not allowed to
Pretty
say
easy.
anyone else. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I picked the 2 stars, the All-Star game, with a nod to your boy Aaron Nola, but Chris Sale,
Shocker of who you're picking, yeah.
2.23 ERA, 188 strikeouts, 10 wins, .90 WHIP.
Pretty ridiculous.
Talking about a guy who, yes, the Red Sox have an absurd 163 run differential, but he is getting very little help run-wise. So he goes out, dominates every single start, with the exception of 1, maybe 2 kind of weak ones. But other than that, guy is unstoppable, right up there in strikeouts. Obviously, Trevor Bauer leading the league in strikeouts, but Chris Sale, not that far behind. So I'm excited.
Sale's losses like 2-0 losses. Like he let up 2 earned runs, and the Red Sox didn't put up anything for him. Just to prove your point.
Exactly, and the other one was 1-0, and he very rarely gets run support from the offense when he's pitching. But that's always how it goes, isn't it? The top guys very rarely get run support. So, Jordy, do you even want to mention someone, or should we just move on for time?
I mean, it's worth mentioning Justin Verlander because he's having a pretty good year. You mentioned Bauer.
Good point.
Justin the Verlander. Other guy that I wouldn't throw as a finalist, but it's worth mentioning because he might get traded pretty soon, is Blake Snell of the Tampa Bay Rays. He's having a pretty good year, 2.27 ERA, 20 starts, 119 innings pitched. He'll definitely look out for his name as you look at trade rumors, and if your team is in the market for somebody, he might be a good guy to get. Same with J.A. Happ of the Blue Jays.
Yeah, but
who is also rumored to get moved very soon.
The Rays are in it, so...
Yeah, but we've seen this before where in the 2 weeks after the trade deadline that a team comes out, 2-8, and then all of a sudden they're pretty much out of it, and trade somebody, or that happens to them in August, as we've seen over the last couple of years, and they do it in the waiver deadline, which is a little bit more fancy, and we can get to that as we get into August. But definitely, I wouldn't be surprised if you saw his name. Definitely. And it's almost a lock that Happ's getting moved at some point.
Yes.
But
what's next?
You want to do? We didn't do top NL teams of the season. We kind of mentioned the Phillies. We talked about them a little bit.
Did we do top American League team?
Yeah, we already did that. We kind of talked about the leaders. That's kind of basically what we did.
No, but we didn't do teams yet. Do I want to do rookie? I got a couple rookies.
I got to do rookies.
I got a rookie and a bullpen guy.
Let's do bullpen guys.
Okay, well, mine's both. 2 for 1.
Oh,
Josh, what?
Oh, all right. Say who it is.
Josh Hader.
Oh,
Milwaukee
yeah.
Brewers.
Good pick.
14 holes, 7 saves, 2 wins, 89 strikeouts. 89 strikeouts with a 1.50 ERA. Technically, at this moment, he does not qualify for... he's not a qualified pitcher or whatever.
Well, yeah, you mean for, ERA and all that?
For, the awards at the end of the year, because he hasn't made enough appearances yet. I believe.
For Rookie of the Year?
Right.
Oh, okay.
But by the end of the season, he will. He definitely deserves it, earns it. But Josh Hader, for sure, my bullpen guy for the National League of the first half.
No, I like that a lot. That's a really good pick. I'm going to go with Adam Ottavino, I think is how you pronounce it, of the Colorado Rockies. Mm-hmm. 20 holds on the season, 41 appearances, 44.1 innings pitched, 67 Ks, that 1.62 ERA, and a .92 WHIP. And, I mean, you could go with Archie Bradley of the Diamondbacks as well, but both of these guys, very good shutdown relievers and really helping their teams out. And I think with the Rockies kind of in the position that they're in, I think he could definitely be a guy that helps them remain close in their race. They're 2 games back of the Dodgers, and definitely when your starting pitching staff is pretty abysmal, especially comparatively to the Diamondbacks, which is part of why I picked him over Bradley. Having a good back end certainly helps you out there. So going with our guy from the Rockies.
I love it. I love it. Switching over to the American League, I'm going Edwin Diaz from the Seattle Mariners.
Oh, great pick. Great pick.
36 saves, 79 Ks, 2.25 ERA, and a WHIP of .79. Like you mentioned the Seattle Mariners being one of the league leaders and most likely definitely a playoff team. He's a big reason why. You don't have 36.
Oh,
yeah, you don't have 36 saves on the season without having an unbelievable conversion rate, and he certainly has earned that role and responsibility, and definitely set himself up nicely here for the future.
Yeah, no, that's a great pick. And I'm going to go with your guy, Craig Kimbrell from your Boston Red Sox. Yeah, 30 saves. He's second in the league. And he's technically, I guess, converted I don't know if it's a better percentage, but he's blown less saves at 2 blown saves comparatively to Diaz's 3. But has only made 7 less appearances, but a 1.77 ERA, 0.89 WHIP. And, he's definitely been – he's definitely gotten at least back to even on the investment the Red Sox made, and I'd argue the return on investment's been pretty high above even, and I think you guys have been pretty happy with that, especially compared to some other closers that other teams have gone out and acquired, and I think Kimbrell's been worth every penny.
Yeah, and a guy who's a free agent at the end of this year, so it's really a will they pay him, won't they pay him type situation. So
sure.
Hopefully they do again, because clearly, like you said, it has been worth it. Jordy, give me a rookie of the year, just one that's not named Josh Hader.
Yeah, so there's a couple that you could go with. We could go with your guy from my Fightin' Phils, Sir Anthony Dominguez, but I'm gonna go with a couple guys from on the behind or from the batter's side of the plate. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to go with Jesse Winkler of the Cincinnati Reds, who having himself a pretty good season so far. 293 batting average, slashing 404. So this guy gets on base a lot. He has a lot of walks, not a ton of extra base hits, 15 doubles, no triples, 7 homers, but he has 42 RBIs on a team that has been better as of late. The Reds aren't really going away, even though they're dead last, but they actually have the second highest runs scored in the NL Central. Their pitching is just god awful.
What do you mean, Craig? The Dark Knight hasn't saved them?
Well, he sort of has, but Greg, they've let up 493 runs. Yikes. The next closest team to that, well, there's a couple teams in the AL that have let up 500, but the next closest team in the National League are the Miami Marlins. But on the flip side, they've scored 461 runs, which is better than the entire NL East. It's better than every other team in the Central except for the Cubs, and it's better than every team in the West except for the Colorado Rockies.
Wow.
Yeah. Winkler's a big part of that with 40 plus ribbies, and hilariously his WAR is below 0, but still a big part of it. He gets on base, he scores some runs, and the Reds aren't really going to do a ton, but they do have 3 All-Stars, so good for you.
And somehow they have 3 All-Stars, and the Phillies only had 1, even though the Phillies are in first place.
Well,
riddle me that.
They actually,
so
yeah.
So my guy from the Miami Marlins, the aforementioned Miami Marlins, Brian Anderson.
Good pick.
55 runs, 109 hits. Thank you, Jordy. 23 doubles, 49 RBIs with a batting average of 288. Sort of a bright future, if you will. One of the guys they did not get rid of. One of their youth guys they did not get rid of under the new regime.
Well, crazily, one of the guys that they got who's also qualifies as a rookie, Lewis Brinson, who they got for Christian Yelich, and the Brewers had kind of a rough go at it for him to start his career. He really has not been paying off, and he was supposed to be a Rookie of the Year candidate at the beginning of the season. So good thing that they have a guy like Anderson that's showing a bright spot, because otherwise it might be a real dark night on South Beach.
Yeah, and I would love to see the statistics of why they chose any of these people over Christian Yelich. But I mean, that's just
No.
any of the Moneyball BS or whatever Jeter tried to pull. But real quick, can we pause from this award show and talk quickly about how one person's death affected an entire franchise to the point where you're talking about a team with Jose Fernandez who was playoff contenders,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden, one fateful morning, and now Giancarlo's gone, Didi's gone, Yelich is gone. The whole team, the team's been sold. The stadium's in whatever, like huge bankrupt the city. Derek Jeter came in and cleaned house. Just amazing to me, the franchise, how it turned around in less than 6 months.
Yeah. It's pretty nuts.
It's crazy. I mean, there has to be a book or something written about this. Like, nuts.
No, it is absolutely absurd. And we saw this kind of before when they first became Miami, that they don't, or really, I guess, after they won the World Series too in 2003, they sent everybody away then.
Yeah, Josh Beckett. Yeah, you're right, and it just doesn't make sense. Like what?
Your guy?
Yeah, like what? Yeah, like what's the point? Like I don't get like. Miami, it seems to be a hot place to go in terms of like people want to go there and vacation, especially like basketball. People want to go all the time. So to the Heat and what have you. So why can't the Marlins pay their players, keep them there?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess when you nearly bankrupt Miami by building that monstrosity of a stadium, it's tough there to really kind of, I guess, have the funds to pay him. I don't know. I mean, we know what Bill Simmons thinks about people paying for their own fucking stadiums, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, that Marlins team is never really. It's not like Moneyball where the movie so blatantly shows like we're a small market team and can't do this. Like you'd think Miami could possibly sustain a baseball franchise where, I don't know. I mean,
yeah, no, sorry to get us on tangent, but there, Jordy, I did want to mention, going back to it, I didn't want to get us going off there, but Ronald Acuna Jr., a guy that you and I both had as a preseason Rookie of the Year candidate, turnaround, has 7 home runs, 11 doubles, 24 runs scored himself, hitting 249, not great, but certainly a guy that's impacted the Braves in a positive way and a big reason as to why they are right up there with the Phillies atop the NL East.
Yeah, and Ozzy's right there too. I don't think he qualifies as a rookie anymore, but that youth of the Atlanta Braves is certainly something. If you're a Phillies fan like myself, or a Mets fan, or a Nationals fan, it's definitely something to be worried about for the next couple of years.
All right, Jordy, since we both agree the Red Sox with 68 wins, the most wins in baseball, 30 losses, the least amount of losses in all of baseball, plus 163, highest ratio in baseball, first in runs scored, fourth in runs against.
It's not
all
the
baseball.
Highest run differential in baseball. The Astros are higher.
Sorry, second, but definitely the best team in all of baseball. Since we both agree on that, the best in the American League. Jordy, give me your National League team because I think we're going to differ here because National League is so close. Give me your National League team of the first half.
Yeah, it's an interesting spot to be in because you have so many different teams that have their own faults when you think about it, but yet they're in first place. You have my Phillies, you have the Cubs, and you have the Dodgers, all that, their ups and downs. I'm going to go with the Cubs because it's just, they're quietly starting to, pull their numbers up. They're plus 114 in run differential. The Brewers aren't going away, even with a 6-game losing streak and a big old skid. The Cubs have finally overtaken them in the division. We saw this last year. They were actually 3 games back. They started a series with the Brewers. They went out and got Jose Quintana and really just went away with it. And I don't know if they're going to make another blockbuster splash at the deadline, but I think we're going to start seeing them run away with it. I think the Brewers still hang on in the playoff category, but I think the Cubs start to pull away in that division. So I think I'm going to pick them for the first half, especially for how they finished and how they never really seemed out of it, even when they were sometimes in 4th place in their division.
Yeah, no, and I 100% had them as well. I think the key is winning at home. 28-15 at home versus 27-23 on the road, and a team that should scare anyone in the National League because they have been able to have the most amount of wins in the National League without their starting pitching being what it's been in the last couple of years.
Exactly, and they're still aren't letting up that many runs.
Right. So if they can figure it out and turn things around here, starting pitching wise, John Lester said it best. Very scary. John Lester said it best last night. He said the bullpen has been there, the offense has been there, it just hasn't been there. Starting pitching as a unit. So he basically said that starting pitching will be better for the rest of the year, and that's a scary thought to think about.
Yeah. No, it's definitely a good one. Greg, who's your team? Quick.
The Cubs. I had the Cubs.
All right. Yeah, we agree on it twice.
I thought you were taking the Phils, but
no. Well, we're doing the Phillies special tomorrow. We're going to go into them in depth. It's definitely an awesome story. We weren't expecting them to be where they are. Certainly, leading the division at the All-Star break. Nearly 100 games into the season. It's awesome to see. They had kind of a rough go at it with the end of that road trip, losing 2 or 3 in Miami. We'll see that there are a lot of things the Phillies need to pick up in the second half, and Matty D and I will go into that a lot tomorrow. So make sure that you stay tuned for the next episode.
Yes.
Wrap things up. You want to do favorite stadium snack and bleacher creature of the first half?
Yeah, favorite stadium snack has to be Duz Lemonade. Glorious Fenway Park. No, honestly, a big one that I thoroughly enjoyed was in Arizona, heading out to Diamondbacks ballpark out there. You and I both were at Phillies or Nationals Park this year, but Diamondbacks where they play is unbelievable, and they have
they're always up there on lists. The listicles.
They have so many good, unique, cool foods like the rattlesnake sauce on their wings and all these random great places that if you haven't checked it out, you haven't Googled it, if you haven't listened to the recap pod from when I got back, please go back. Share. It's
Are you still there?
Yep.
Did you ask me what mine was? Did you ask me what mine was?
What yours was?
Okay. Mine, if I had to go with one, probably stay at home with Bull's Barbecue. Definitely one that it's a go-to for me. One that I wanted to do, though, just because you mentioned I went to Nats Park. I went to Fenway earlier this year. Obviously, Citizens Bank Park. So I want to do a power rankings of the hot dogs I had there. I'm going to go Fenway number 1, and then Citizens Bank number 2. Yeah, the Fenway Frank lived up to the hype you gave me, Greg. And then number 3, and we talked about this in the last pod, but Nationals Park, back to their Coney dogs. I like Coney dogs. I wasn't expecting it in Washington, D.C., but it also wasn't that great. So Fenway, CBP, Nats Park. So I wanted to do that as a fun little twist on the stadium snacks. But quickly to wrap things up, what was your favorite bleacher creature story of the first half?
It has to be the girl who the baseball went into her beer and she chugged it, right?
Oh, yeah. It's got to be her. I have another one that is alcohol related as well. The bar in
the most the guy, the streaker who got absolutely dropped.
Oh yeah, that guy. Oh my! Do you see Pussy Riot? Completely different sport. Pussy Riot ran onto the field during the World Cup final. They weren't streaking or anything, but that was pretty wild. My bleacher creature, though, the bar in Baltimore that gives out a shot every time Chris Davis gets a hit. That is utterly hilarious just because of how bad that season's been going.
Embarrassing.
Yeah, and embarrassing that is for him. So definitely one to keep an eye out for because it might get mentioned continually get mentioned as that season kind of dwindles down. The other one I had, though, was the Padres taking the bus through San Francisco, or the Giants taking it through San Diego because their team bus didn't arrive, so they took a public bus or a tour bus.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a pretty good one. But yeah, it's been
like the Capitals.
Except they didn't win anything. But it is an even year. But Greg, I think that's going to do it for us. I know you got to get back to work soon. So I just wanted to thank you again for coming on. Definitely a lot of fun. We'll be sure to, have plenty of more podcasts coming down the second half. Again, make sure to keep an eye out for next week. Greg, anything else you got?
Go Tiger, hello world, and go Sox.
Yeah, British Open this week. Go Tiger, go Rory, go Phils. And
Hello.
I'll be there Friday.
Go
Let's
Sox.
get Manny. Let's get Manny.
Let's get Manny. Hashtag go Sox.